Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're well. Feel free to say good morning and where you're from. And today in our class, we have Sarah Barbanson, one of our lovely students from the college who is helping us with the chat. So feel free to say good morning. We have another Sarah from Canvey Island. Lovely. And Liz, Titus, hello, hello. It's lovely to see everyone coming in again. If you're new to the class, I'm sure I would imagine that you're all old hats at this sort of thing. If there's anyone new, just follow along with what we do. We're going to put up a poll. We'll probably only do one poll this morning. But following on from last week, where we were getting in touch with the throat chakra, we're going to move along and we're going to be getting in touch with the brow chakra today. Third eye, Ajna. So we're going to be playing with that and a point that works with it, and I'll work us through a little bit of a meditation exercise type thing. I'm not really sure what to call it. We'll see. We'll just play with it as usual. And is there anything else? Anything else? No, I think that's about it. Okay, so as usual, I'd like us to start by just getting a sense of the group. So just like that. Okay. So whether you're sitting or standing, if you would like to just take a moment to take your attention inside and just pay attention to the inside of you. And then have a sense of the circle of everyone around us. This is the whole group that is enjoying the Wednesday class, whether it is live in the moment that it's broadcast or later as people come to appreciate it at a different time. Time is more playful than we think. So we are in this group together in this moment. And I just want us to have a sense of that circle and an appreciation. So moment of thanks. Feels nice. Okay, and then just come back. Brilliant. It's a perfect way to start, and we'll end the same way. So when you're ready, feel free to come to standing. I'm just going to move back here. And as usual, we're going to, you can do this sitting down, but I'm going to do this standing. Well, let me just move the camera a little bit so there's a bit more room. There, I think that's a bit more. There we go. So we're going to bring our attention to the tops of our heads, even starting, if you want, in the space above our heads. And we're going to scan down through the body. This is using awareness and attention. So bring your awareness above your head and then bring that down using attention to the top of the head, sides of the head, front and back. And then bring your attention through your face. Scan through your face. How are the muscles of your jaw, temples, cheeks? What about the sense organs? And then the neck, back of the neck, sides of the neck, front of the neck and throat. How's your neck today? And then into the shoulders. It's a classic place for many people to feel tension or to have discomfort. So just notice, how are the shoulders today? And then we're going to scan down through the arms, just the arms. So through the shoulder joint and the upper arm, through the elbows, through the forearms, getting more stringy and intricate around the wrists and hands and fingers. And we're just noticing what it's like and seeing if our attention is caught or attracted by anything, and just seeing what that's like. So for instance, to give you an example, I'm back of the neck and shoulders, and around my elbows, I'm noticing a sort of a tension, bit of a holding. Interesting. Nothing else, just interesting. So the whole of the arms and shoulder girdle, just notice that. And then carry on down the chest, upper back, through the rib cage and spine, and the internal organs of the upper part of the body. And take that scanning through the lower part of the torso. So we've got the abdomen free of ribs, and the spine in the back, and the organs inside. Sinking your awareness, taking your attention through different areas. Excuse me. Through the hips and the pelvis and the buttocks and the thighs. Now noticing these long portions of the leg, the upper leg. What's that like? Into the knee. How are your knees today? And the calf muscles, shin bone, long thick tendons in the back of the leg to the heel, and out across the ankles and feet. Don't forget to wiggle your toes. How are the feet on the ground? Okay, well now we've been through every part in bit by bit. Let's just spread out to the whole body. Just get a sense of the whole space that your body takes up and a bit of the space around you. And again, notice if your attention is drawn anywhere or if it is caught by anything. And what is that like? It's just a note, useful to notice these areas. Okay. And if you've got paper and pencil or paper and pen, make a note of that or an image. I'm going to do a quick something. Just, this is useful for us to reference later. Also, if we ever keep track of them, it's useful to look back over it at times. Yeah. Well, that's mine today. Probably it's fairly physical in its nature, but that's because we haven't really gone into scanning through into other layers yet. However, let us tune in to the three burning spaces. These are the three different areas into which Qi is born into our body or produced or managed. So those sorts of qualities. So we know these areas, we've been through them lots of times. We're going to start at the bottom because this is the most important burner in a sense. It underpins all the others. So from our pubic bone to our belly button, this space, you can place your hands on if you wish. And let's just bring our attention and our awareness in to this space and try to feel inside. Not only physically, what is it like in here? You can start there, but also generally, what's the quality of me inside here? That's the question you want to ask yourself. And the other way of asking it is ask the area as if it has its own way of responding back to you. How are you? And notice what comes up. There's another way of posing that question. So belly button, pubic bone, connect in, sink in. What's it like? And again, either how am I in here or what are you like? How are you, lower burner? Okay, interesting. Interesting. Maybe you didn't pick up much, or maybe you just had so much information that you didn't know quite what to pick. We'll come back to it, so it's okay. Belly button to diaphragm, or where the ribs meet at the sternum. So that's this space. This is now the middle burner. So connecting to this space in the body. You can do it with one hand, both hands like this. And again, what's it like in here? How am I in this portion of the body? Or what is this area wanting to say to me? Okay. Now, is that different to the lower burner? Just check in with the lower burner again. Lower burner is like, okay. Middle burner is like, different. Mine are very different. Okay, so now we're going to go from this point where the ribs meet the sternum or the diaphragm up to the collarbones. So upper burner, you can place your hands in the middle here. And again, it's this whole space. So sink into this space. What's it like in here? Is there an image about that? You can ask yourself, how am I? Or what does this area want to say back to me? And just to check, is that any different from the middle burner? Check in with the middle burner again. And then check in with the upper burner. Okay. Okay, and if you've got your paper and pen, maybe just mark down one or two things or make a couple of words about how that is. Okay. Well, I'll show you mine. It's quite strange. If you want to see it, make of that what you will. I do wish I could see everyone's images. It would just be so interesting. But I don't think we can do that. Anyway, we need to crack on. Times are wandering. First of all, I'm going to put a poll on here, which is, of course, which burner do you want to work on most today? Click on whichever is right for you. Lower burner is the one you want to focus on most, or the middle burner you want to focus, or the upper burner you want to focus on most. We are going to work on all of them, so it's fine. None of them will get missed. And of course, if you work on all of them, then that's fine. But just choose one that you would feel like, oh, that's where I would want to go to first, for instance. It's all pretty even today. Let's see. Wow, it really is even. Is anyone else going to answer? Because at the moment it is 100% even, which I don't know if we've ever had before. 33% across the board. Well, that's fine. That's absolutely lovely, because we're going to be covering all of the burners, and it makes it a lot more easy in a sense. Right, so I'm going to carry on. Let's get started. We're going to get started by just having a brief look at, here we go, the slides. Hopefully you can see this. This is the chakra chart. Now, if you can't read it, we are looking at where it says Ajna, the brow chakra today. And that is Jnana or Jnana yoga, which is more about direct transmission, direct knowing. It's about connecting with our intuition and insight and all of that kind of stuff. We'll have a little play with some of that later. And the point that we use, when you whiz past it, is this governing vessel, which comes all the way up and over the top. And last week we connected to it here. Well, before we get there, we've got this point, 24.5, because technically number 24 is here at the edge of the hairline, if I've still got an edge of the hairline. And 24.5 is like, it's an extra point. It's kind of like a bonus point. And as it says, you go between your eyebrows and then you just come up by a little bit. Now, if you kind of look, I'm going to take away the screen from this slide. If you kind of look, you can see between my eyebrows, where is it? Yeah, if I'm here, if I go between my eyebrows, and then if you look above that, if you look above my finger, there's kind of like a little shady spot there. So that's where we're going into. You're coming just above the in-between place into here. And in the Hindu and Vedic background, which is where the chakras come from, this is where the bindi is placed. This is where the marks are made with color to help open the third eye and connect us where it moves up towards the crown for divinity. Wonderful. So let's get started with some exercises to get the energy moving, the 3 burners opened, managed, and our channels to clear. So then we're ready to really connect in with this point and see how it is. Okay. Come to standing. First of all, feet about hip to shoulder width apart. And just have a little bit of a shake and a loosen. Just kind of getting the body moving a little bit. Shake any a little bit in every part, and don't forget the face. Wow, it's quite warm today. I'm going to have to take off my jumper. Okay. And if there was an area when you were first scanning in that was an area of tension for you anywhere, like for instance for me, mostly in the shoulders, then get into that area with a bit of shaking, just to kind of help loosen that area up especially. I'm going to get my elbows involved as well. Now, whatever, if it's the hip, you may want to be, shaking your pelvis and hip a bit more. It's whatever's right for you. So for me, I need to do my shoulders a bit. Just as last time, we did lots of sound stuff, so don't forget, if you need to make sound, it can be incredibly helpful. Okay. Now let that shaking come to the whole body, but a bit more gently. So you just got a gentle kind of movement and bounce through the whole body. Let your breathing settle to where it needs to be. And the movement gets smaller and smaller and slighter until it's more of a sense of movement internally. Sink into that center where the movement is internally and let that become smaller and slighter. Find your balance so that you can just let it become finer until you can let that go. Notice how that is. A bit more peaceful. Okay. We're going to start with the lower burner. And remember, this is from pubic bone up to belly button. In this area, we've got the intestines, the bladder, and the kidneys. And kidneys really govern this. So we're going to focus on some things to work with the kidneys. So first of all, we're going to circle the area just to warm it up and get a bit of Qi into it. So I'm going from pubic bone to belly button, just in this area. And whilst doing this, imagine that through your arms, relax the shoulders, through your arms and through your hands, just have them nice and open. You are allowing Qi or energy or light or love or warm fluid, whatever's right for you, really, to build up and sink into the area. And if the question arises in you of what is right for me, then remember what was in the scan. When you scanned into your lower burner, what was it like? And what would that sort of need, or how would it like to be contacted? Bring that in. Simple as that. Simple. It's about responding, and you have the ability to respond. That is all that responsibility is. Start with yourself. You can work towards others later. Okay. And now let your hands rest. Maybe just give that lower belly area a bit of a tap. Lightly tapping. If it's feeling very sensitive, make it very gentle, almost just fingertips. If it's feeling like it's a bit blocked and you really need to get things moving, you can bring in a bit more emphasis. So it really helps us to bring our awareness into this area and really get a bit of movement going. Now, if you can reach, if your shoulders are happy to reach, come around to the sacrum, the tops of the buttocks, and the bottom of the lower back. Okay. Okay, give your arms a bit of a loosen off and ease, because we are going to be doing some more tapping in a minute. First of all, we're just going to take a couple of breaths. So we're just going to take a couple of breaths, breathe in, let the breath sink down to here, and then as we breathe out, let it kind of settle. A little bit like we just poured water in, the water kind of like, oh, I've just been poured about, and as you breathe out, it just settles. So breathing in, holding this area, breathe in, let it settle, and then breathe out. Breathing in, fill up, let it go down, and breathe out. Settling. Last one. Feel it all the way into the back, and breathe out. Okay. Let's do the kidney 1 point. So I'm bringing my chair over. So, right into kidney 1. We all know where kidney 1 is. In this patch, just underneath the ball of the foot. It's about a third of the way down. I mean, you can do it from here. A third of the way down from here is about here. Or you can do it from this point underneath the toes, a third of the way down about here. The thing is, this point is actually like all of that. So just get right in there. And if you can't reach yourself, the best thing is getting someone else to do it, of course, or you get a ball, like a tennis ball, or you can use the corner of a box or a step or a large book, something of that nature, to get into the spaces between bones and tendons. And then you can just give your foot a general kind of like mold around and a squidge, and maybe pull the toes about a bit, and then give it a bit of a tap. You can use a loose fist, or you can use an open hand, and do the top of the foot as well. Okay, other side. Oh wait, hang on, sorry. Notice how the 2 feet feel. Notice the difference. Okay, leave the great big fluffy open foot and grab this one. Yum. Anyone else a big fan of kidney 1 point? Because I love this. I love this part of the session. Maybe it also appeals to my nature of just wanting to sit down for a bit. As we've said before, kidney 1 point is the most yin point, and it's on the most yin aspect of our body, the sole of the foot. So at the yin part of the day, which is evening and nighttime, this is a great point to work, especially if you're wanting to help with sleep, which is our most yin action that we do. So there we go. Makes sense. So you've got working the whole of the foot as well, just opening up the foot in general, pulling the toes about, giving it a bit of a wake up. Okay. Perfect. Now that we've opened our kidney 1 point, it also gives us more connection aspect to the yin, which is the earth energy. It is far more yin, deep, solid, settled. So connect, open that kidney 1 space, feel the feet relax and open. Allow that to connect through the legs. Pardon me. Maybe just give the backs of the legs a bit of a tap. And then the inside of the backs of the legs. Okay. Now that we've really opened up the legs and the kidney 1 point. Feel that connection with the ground, all the way into our lower burner. Take a couple of breaths just to really get that rooted, connected feeling. Okay, we're going to move straight on to the middle burner. So now, middle burner, really the two qualities are nourishing, nurturing, feeling needs getting met, and the other is smooth flow and creative expression. Okay, so we'll just go through these. We won't spend as much time as on the lower burner because lower burner underpins everything, so it's great to get a bit more strength behind it. The lower burner, the kidneys, bring some energy up to the middle burner. So we've now got some energy moving already into the middle burner. Let's get it opened up and moving a bit more fluidly. So give it a bit of a tap around, gently tap around the ribs. Sometimes it's sensitive, so be aware of how sensitive that actually may be. Start really gentle. Okay. And then we're going to do the nice spiraling, spinning kind of movement. So feet about, I prefer shoulder width apart. You can be more like hip width apart, but it's generally having a stronger base. And allow yourself to just sink a bit. So soften the ankles, the knees, and the hips. Okay, so you're really kind of settled with that kidney 1 open all the way through into the lower burner. Now turn that lower burner, but try not to lose that steadiness of the knees and feet. So we're not doing this, where we're dropping the knees. The feet aren't coming off the floor. You're not opening out too wide. You're not going over to one side than the other. You're just staying in the middle. And the lower burner is just turning around. And then as you do this, just let your arms flop a bit. So the upper body, from the lower burner, everything just goes and just has a natural twist. Now, if this is too much for you, do it really nice and gently, as if it is a sort of a Qi Gong, Tai Chi, sort of slow, fluid, building exercise. If you feel really sensitive in this area. Otherwise, if you feel like you really need to, and you can really oh, I really need to open out, release. So you find your level. I'm sort of midway today. Smooth, fluid movement. And you can allow yourself to play with it. Play is creative expression. It is also the greatest way that we learn. So if you want your hands to kind of go somewhere else, play with it. It's just mainly you're keeping your base in that central capacity and creating twist. Okay. And then after a little bit, we're just going to let that start to slow down and that movement come to a natural progressive end. You may notice that there's actually some movement still wanting to happen in that sort of central space. The hips are still moving a little bit. Just letting go a bit more and more, finding it like the shaking we did at the beginning, moving more and more into an internal space until eventually just let's go. Okay, now we're going to, how much time have I got? Okay, halfway through. Hopefully I've still got time to play with some of the other interesting stuff. So we're going to come over our belly button. So belly button to diaphragm here. But we're also going to be aware of the pubic bones. We've got that whole area. And we're going to do big circles. Now these are sort of like nourishing the entire of the digestive system. And the entire of the gut itself is governed partly by the stomach, and its digestive capacity is partly governed by the spleen. And the stomach and spleen are in this middle burner area. So we're doing this lovely digestive yum yums kind of movement. And again, get playful with how that feels, you know? Like, what would be the most nourishing quality to have right now? Like, for me, I'm really thinking of that lovely kind of like thin, liquidy honey. It's sweet, but it's also a little bit kind of fragrant and maybe piney. Yeah, that's what I would like. So I'm pouring this perfect thin liquid honey into my belly. So what is right for you? You know, maybe it's more just like light and wow. Maybe there's a sound, or maybe it's more like a yummy thick gravy, or what is right for you? What is your need getting met? Now, if you want to build that energy up a bit more, like my digestive system's a bit sluggish, so I'm just going to give it a bit more yang, a bit more oomph. Get the digestive fires burning. Okay, and we won't do full 81, but we'll just start letting them become smaller and smaller and smaller. Until it's really just stillness over the belly button. And have a moment of thanks. Let your belly have a moment of thanks to the rest of you. Nice. Okay, and we're going to tap down to the outer aspect of the leg, and then to the feet, and back up the inner aspect. Outer aspect is yang, inner aspect is yin. Down the yang, up the yin. Okay. Lovely. Upper burner. Here we go. So we can just do a little bit of tapping across the top of the chest and across the tops of the shoulders. Just to sort of say hello. Hello, upper burner. Here we are. We're not going to leave you out. We're focusing on you now. And remember when you did your burning three burners scan, remember what the quality was like in the upper burner. So what was it like? And in that sense, therefore, how would it like to be? Or what's it calling for? You know, so this is what we're kind of bringing to it. It's like a call and response thing. You're going to listen to its call, and then we're going to respond. So though we're going to do certain stretches, you can color it, you can theme it, you can bring the quality, and that is bringing the Qi that is required. Simple. Okay, so we're going to do the heart protector stretch first. Remember, we start off breathing in, and then we breathe out like this, okay? So breathing in, coming forwards with the hands. Breathing out, let the shoulders relax, and then point the middle finger backwards. Hold it for a moment, and then relax. Okay. Forwards. Feel the backs of the shoulders open, and then relax. The shoulders relax, and open the middle finger. Okay, the heart protector helps to govern the heart. So we're not going to do a full heart stretch today. We'll touch upon the heart in a moment, just for a moment, because we want to make sure that that's touched upon. I didn't want to go too far today. I felt like my heart and heart protector area are a little sensitive today. I've had some interesting emotional things come up recently, and it's been really useful to go through it. But that means I'm not wanting to really throw wide as I could do. So it's useful to kind of, you know, that's the sort of type of thing we can be aware of and work with. So we're going to get in touch with the heart. No, we're going to do the lung stretch first. So this is going to be like a typical kind of lovely yawn stretch. So we can do a yawn, and when we do a yawn, we reach up, and if you point your thumb and index finger, and then now only go as high as you can go to. Don't, if your shoulder's difficult going up, then just go to where it can go. And you can always find that even if it's like, oh, I can't lift my shoulder up higher than here, turn, see where the turn feels an opening and a stretching. So find what's right for you. We're going to take a nice big deep breath in. If you can yawn, then yawn. And then let it go. Letting go is as important as the breathing in. So one more time. I need more sleep. Okay. And last of all, we're going to connect with the heart. And this is the reason why I left this till last is because we're going to use this in a moment. Okay, so we're going to connect with the heart by bringing our hands into prayer position in front of our hearts. Lift the elbows up so that you really feel the underside start to draw out and open. This opens the channel of the heart and the small intestine, its partner. And then we're going to drop down as if in prayer, like this, but we're not just dropping like that. We're going to drop and try to keep the elbows and the hands high. So the hands are effectively going to end up pretty much in touch with our brow chakra. How about that for today? So starting with hands level with the heart in front. Relax the shoulders, but let the elbows come up. Okay, take a breath in. And breathe out. Let the hands stay up until it reaches the brow. And bowing in gratitude and reverence. And let the hands come down. One more time. Hands to heart and out. Relax the shoulders, but have the elbows high. Breathe in and breathe out in gratitude and reverence. Allowing the hands to meet the brow. Let the hands drop, bend the knees, roll back up. And just notice the difference in the space inside. Okay, and now we're just going to tap down some of those yang channels because we've worked upwards. So we want to work some of the yang down. So we're going to tap over the top of the head and the sides of the head using the fingertips and around the ears and around the eye orbit, the ocular orbit and the sinuses and cheeks and the nose and the mouth. Your jaw. And let's grab the ears and gently, tops of the ears, kind of draw them up a bit. As Dinah would say, Dr. Spock, Prince Charles, and the Buddha. There you go. And you can tap around the back of the neck, heading downwards to where you can reach. And the sides of the neck. I'm using fingertips. Some of our channels finish or end or begin in the fingertips. So kind of you're activating them as well. You know, that's great. If you want to, you can hold on to an elbow or not and just tap across. Because if you have stiff shoulders, sometimes you really need a good bit of work on them. Right? Oh, there we go. Neck to shoulder to upper back. And then down the outside of the arms. And reach as high as you can. And tapping either side of the spine and the muscles there. Lovely. I love this. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Okay, 42 minutes. Let's have a look at that point of the week again. How's everyone doing? Haven't seen any movement in the chat so far. You must have all been so busy. Let us know how you're doing. So, thank you, Gillian. GV channel point 24.5 and the third eye chakra. Okay, so as it says in the writing here, the acupressure point 24.5, which because the 24 is here and 23 is further down, so this is like an extra point, 24.5. I'm glad you're feeling good, Liz. That's wonderful. This is going to be really interesting, this next bit. I want to play with this. So it's really good to get this all cleared and moving a bit so we can have a bit more clarity about what's going to happen next. So it says, at the center of the forehead, 1 finger's distance above the eyebrow gap. So this is the gap you have, unless you have a monobrow, which is fine. You just come to this point above the bridge of the nose on the eyebrow, or between the eyebrows, and then you come up by 1 finger's distance. And you'll probably, if you just slide up, you'll feel it gets to a point where it naturally kind of almost just catches, you know, it just wants to go in. The connection that happens here, it wants to go in. So really useful to notice those sorts of feelings, get subtle with the touch. And it says, applying pressure to this point can help induce mental relaxation. Wonderful. Promote mental acuity, so focusing and clarity of mind. Jackie, I'm sorry you're having a bit of difficulty following today. If it's the internet connection, you could see if there's anything else using the internet connection and turn that off, or try dropping out and coming in again. If it's more to do with how I'm going, then hopefully I'll slow down in a moment. So mental relaxation, mental acuity, improves mental projection. Now this is an interesting one. This is taken from some older Chinese medicine books. Strengthens your intuitive instincts, which responds back to when we had that chakra chart, and we looked at the point where it was the brow, and it said on one side Ajna, and on the other side some of the information about it. And some of that information was saying, pardon me, oh, there we go. I'm just, things are lining up, so it happens, beg your pardon. Intuition is largely not wholly, but largely a faculty through a connection that can be connected via this point or through the third eye chakra. Generally manipulated or used to relieve stress, especially stress in the upper portion of the body, in the mind, sinusitis, dizziness, vertigo, and headaches. Pretty much headaches of all kinds. It's pretty useful to know. But this mental projection aspect, it was fairly well known via those who worked in the subtle areas with health and Qi and meditation and things of this nature, that the mind is not something that is just inside the head. And in fact, it's not something that is just within the bounds of our body. So when it's talking about mental projection, it's really talking about the energetic movement that can happen with the movement of our attention from the use of mind, the use of consciousness or spirit, and that which is called Shen. And as we've done before, the Shen is housed in the heart. Okay. So before we go any further, I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to read from the Tao Te Ching, but do I want to do it before or after the exercise that we do? I'll do it before. So this is one of my preferred translations of the Tao Te Ching by, as you can see here, by Gyalfu Feng, with images by Jane English. And we're going to focus on chapter 8, and these are the beautiful images that come with this chapter 8. I don't know if you can see them okay. Snow in a forest. So chapter 8 of the Tao Te Ching goes like this. The highest good is like water. Water gives life to the 10,000 things and does not strive. It flows in places men reject, and so is like the Tao. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. In speech, be true. In ruling, be just. In business, be competent. In action, watch the timing. No fight, no blame. Now, that first part, the highest good is like water. Part of what it's saying is the way that we are in the world one of the best ways to go about it is to have a sense of how water is. If you know about the water element, that's fine, but it's not to do with that. It's actually how the quality of water as a substance within life is in terms of things like path of least resistance. It's always flowing. It molds around things. If it's not flowing, it will be still. And it can have momentum which can be as gentle as a single drop slowly rolling down, or it can be as momentous as an entire ocean flooding the entire world. So it is a fantastic and huge and vast thing to kind of tune into, but at the same time, very natural. Also, there's a couple of things I just wanted to touch on here, and what we're going to connect with is, for instance, it says in meditation, go deep in the heart. Now, this is not always touched upon in lots of meditation backgrounds, but as Chinese medicine states, Shen, consciousness, spirit, is housed in the heart. If you go back to the poetry of the West, a lot of it is really about the heart, more than it is about the head. Even though we talk about in the head as if that's where the mind is. It's only sort of science that's really done that. But the mind is very centered in some of its actions and functions via this upper center. So it's not that this is better for spiritual acuity in any way. It's just it has a lot of functions that connect with it. So let's connect with this point here. So find this point. You go between the eyebrows and come up until you find that soft spot. Now, close your eyes. And first of all, I'd like you to just let a little bit of weight sink in through the arm so that you just bring energy, you bring awareness and attention inside the head space. And just observe and notice what that's like. Is it a local quality? Is it more of an expansive quality? Is it more of a subtle quality? Just noticing headspace through this point. Observing. And when you're ready, just lighten the touch and open the eyes and come out. This is purely head-based connection with this. So I'm interested what it was that you or how you experienced that. So feel free to put something in the chat. What we're going to do next, whilst you're putting that in, is we're going to connect to here again. But as soon as we connect, it's almost like, now that we've opened that space up, it's almost like we're going to connect in and just allow that to sink down into the heart space. And then we're going to observe the heart space. So in meditation, go deep in the heart. And so that's what we're going to do. So, Sue, it felt crowded. That's a very interesting way of describing that, and fits incredibly well with the Taoist perspective of mind, as well as what could be said soul and reincarnation, but we'll come back to that another time. The point is slightly tender for me, so easier to find. Okay, that's great. That's great. That may also mean that it needs a bit of clearing, so it's good to work with it. Okay, so when we're ready, come back to this point. You can even use the other hand if you want to. I'm going to find that point again. Get into one's alignment. Allow the spine to be nice and open. Shoulders relaxed. Bring a little bit of weight from the arm through the hand, through the finger, into that headspace, and immediately sinking down. Allowing that sinking down to move down through to the heart space in the chest. Allow that heart space to be aware of your attention sinking down into that heart space and connecting through to the heart space. Observe that. What's that like? And is that different from before? And when you're ready, lightening the touch, opening the eyes, but letting that stay with that heart center as well. I'm interested to know what that's like. Empty all the way, freeing, very deep and wide. Cool. So what's it like connecting in and sinking down into that heart space? Is that different? Is that a different quality? So for me, for instance, when I'm here, although this is quite an expansive quality, it's still very heady and a bit, in some ways, a little uncomfortable just being there. When I connect and sink down, there's much more depth. There's more depth, there's more clarity, and there's more of a sense of, that's okay. That expansiveness is no longer a, ooh, it's more like a, ah. So Simonetta, through the heart to the reality and the body. That's a beautiful way of putting it. Gillian, both times hard to keep attention in one space. It wandered a bit, but good to practice. Absolutely. It's not always easy moving away from the place where we have a point of contact physically, because that really grabs our attention. But if we can allow our attention to sync with that, if we can intend, so use our intention to move our attention, it's amazing how the energy changes. So have a play with it. Now, I wanted us to finish off with one more thing, which is going to bring back to this quality of water. So at the moment, we're kind of forgetting about elements, because obviously in the water element, in the Chinese system, that's more like down in the belly and the kidneys and spine and things like this. And in the Vedic system, up here at the brow, it's definitely not the water element. This is more like ether, sort of spirit. But water, in terms of that fluid quality, one of the things that can happen when we get in touch with the brow chakra and this point is more of an expansive psychic or astral quality, an internal imaginative spacing. So when we get into that, like water, there is the path of least resistance. There's no longer the physical resistance in moving. It can just be anywhere. So to play with that and to get into the brow, that's lovely. To play with that, we're going to use the aum sound, A-U-M. So A-U-M, aum. But there's a fourth part, which is the silence afterwards, where we come into the awareness from the brow chakra. I'd like us to stay with that sense of the heart as well as the head being open. And when we drop into that space of silence, it is like we're dropping into the waters of our body and the waters of life around us, as if we are dropping the sound in like a pebble in a lake. So if you're happy to follow, after 3, please make the sound of aum. So 1, 2, 3. Aum. And again. Remembering being open in the heart as well as the head. Let's do this last time. indeed. I feel like I can hear you all as well. And in the spirit of that, as well as finishing off together, before we just write in any last things, please can we connect as a group to finish off and have a bit of a shakeout, and then we can say goodbye. So take a moment to see the class as a circle around you, everyone that's got involved today with all of our arms and our pointing the forehead and our stretching and working the 3 burners and everything that we've done today. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been a blessing being with you all as usual. Okay, have yourselves a wonderful day. Have a little bit of a shakeout. And have a wonderful rest of your week. Until the Wednesday class next time, I won't be there with you, but lots of love.